I'm starting to see this amazing trend of women our age being like, I want to actually be fit. I kind of want to be able to move well as I age. And I don't want to end up in a nursing home when I'm 70 and, that trend. And so I think that for high achieving moms, they want to excel, right? And I identify as somebody like that. When I choose to do something, I want to do it 100%. And what I've had to realize is that with fitness, especially with exercise and nutrition, you really are better served by taking a gradual approach.
Hello to all of you wonderful moms out there. This is episode 51 of the Achieve Your Ambitious Mom Life podcast. I'm your host, Anoki Kapasi. This episode is an interview that I had with Rachel DeSonier, host of the Effective Weight Loss for Moms podcast. And during our interview, we talked about the importance of strength training as part of improving our long-term quality of life. We also talked about some cognitive fallacies that prevent us from meeting our fitness goals and how to build in simple exercise routines in our mom lives. I really appreciate Rachel's values-based approach to fitness because it fits perfectly into what I teach on this podcast about life planning. Rachel was a super fun guest to have on the show. And even in our offline conversations, I make sure to listen really closely when Rachel is talking because she's full of juicy advice. And she set such a great example for me and so many other moms. I think you're really going to enjoy this one, and I hope it encourages you to think about your fitness goals and to start taking one simple first step on your journey to being a stronger and healthier person. Are you looking for a way to blend success and motherhood without losing sight of who you are? I get it. I've been there too. Hi, I'm Anoki, a PhD researcher, business owner, and homeschooling mom of 2 boys. As your life coach, I help moms like you create a life you love at home and at work. If you're ready to stop feeling overwhelmed, overscheduled, and overlooked, and want a clear roadmap to a balanced life, a meaningful career, and finally feeling like yourself again while being the awesome mama that you are, you're in the right place. In this journey to create the life you truly desire, it's time to rediscover your dreams and achieve your ambitious mom life. Hello, everyone. I'm thrilled to bring to you today's guest because she might just be every mom's answer to one of your biggest goals to live a high quality and fitter and stronger life. My guest teaches that getting stronger and losing fat doesn't have to mean a crash diet or chaos. Rachel DeSonier is a registered dietitian, certified personal trainer, host of the Effective Weight Loss for Moms podcast, and mom of 5 who knows exactly what busy moms need. She helps women build confidence through simple, effective strength training routines. Then she pairs it with smart, realistic nutrition to fuel workouts and support fat loss. Her step-by-step approach is all about sustainability, not perfection. Rachel's specialty is helping moms finally get consistent with their fitness goals. Welcome, Rachel.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thanks for being here. Rachel, do you have anything else to add?
That about sums it up. I registered dietitian, personal trainer, mom of 5, and business owner. And so I don't like to say busy because I don't want to be busy. I like to say my life is full.
That's perfect. That's awesome. I already mentioned that I think that health and fitness is such a core component of having a high quality life. We still struggle with that though, especially getting started with fat loss and how to keep things simple when you're starting strength training and just generally how to fit it in your day. So I'm really excited to talk to you about all of this stuff. I have so many questions to ask. So are you ready to just kind of jump right in?
Yes, I'm excited to have this conversation.
My listeners are mostly high achieving moms and they're really driven to succeed, and it could be with their careers and homeschooling or managing their homes. How can these high achieving moms approach fitness and nutrition with the same intentionality that they bring to their work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, one of the things that I'm seeing, which is really exciting, is there's so many more moms that are actually trying to improve their fitness. For a long time, it seemed like that was something that you just did if you maybe had a problem, right, that you were trying to fix, a weight problem, or maybe you're pre-diabetic or whatever, and then you'd really get into your fitness. But now I'm seeing this trend towards moms, especially, really starting to think about, bone health and functionality as they age, and really being just the best version of themselves, both physically and mentally. Because, I feel like there's this de-emphasis on the physical for such a long time. Like it's all about your soul and your mind, and your body doesn't define you, which is absolutely true. But we do have a body, and we want to take care of that body and steward it really well. And so I think that's such a fantastic question, because so many women are now, especially in our age demographic, maybe the 35, I have no idea how old you are, maybe the 30 to 45 range.
Especially when you have younger kids. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And I'm starting to see this amazing trend of women our age being like, I want to actually be fit. I kind of want to be able to move well as I age. And I don't want to end up in a nursing home when I'm 70, and, that trend. And so I think that for high achieving moms, they want to excel, right? And I identify as somebody like that. When I choose to do something, I want to do it 100%. And what I've had to realize is that with fitness, especially with exercise and nutrition, you really are better served by taking a gradual approach. Because when you have this all or nothing mindset, which is what a lot of women get into, is they're like, okay, I'm going to go on a diet, or I'm going to work out 5 days a week. And then you're able to sustain that through willpower for a certain amount of time. Mm-hmm. And then the willpower fades and life happens and you fall off the wagon, and then the motivation goes, and then you are back to where you started and probably worse off. And then the cycle goes over and over again. And I call that the diet cycle of defeat. And it's this pattern that we tend to follow. I think that a really great way to have fantastic fitness, and this is whether you need weight loss or you're wanting to get strong, you're wanting to be more functional as you age, is to really start small and be really strategic with what you choose to implement.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Yeah, and it makes it so much less intimidating, I guess. That's true for a lot of personal growth stuff. So I think that why should fitness be an exception? That makes a lot of sense. It simplifies the process, really.
It does make sense, but it's just one of those things that we just keep doing.
Yes.
Like, oh, well, I'm going to go on a diet, so let me throw everything out in my fridge and change everything from day one. Yeah. And then try, it doesn't make any sense, but we do it over and over for some
Yeah, I know. And especially, I feel like sometimes we have to be the measured one in our families. Like with everything else in our lives, we're so measured and level-headed. And then when it comes to workouts and food and stuff, we just go extreme. And it's good to have somebody who can also remind us about, the simpler way, the more practical way, the more, approachable way to do it. Yeah.
It makes me think about all those, I don't know if you had been a part of this, but those really intense workout videos that were popular a while back, like Insanity and P90X and those things. And it was just like, you do this 5 days a week and like you go 100% in, and it feels really good in the moment because you're like sweating or whatever. And you're like, oh my gosh, I just burned like 1,000 calories. I'm going to be so fit. But the problem is you don't keep doing it because it's so miserable. It makes me, it reminded me of that, because you're exactly right. It's, we really need to just take the same approach to fitness and nutrition that we do with the rest of our life, which is, small, sustainable habits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think this maybe doesn't fit with, most of the people that you talk about, but especially pre-motherhood, I kind of savored the intensity and I really liked kind of the challenge and the difficulty of it. But the difference is that back then, when I was all about fitness, I was in shape, it's easier to maintain. It's when we find ourselves out of that loop. And now I many times have like fallen off the wagon when it comes to fitness and working out and stuff, or not having the right cycle with nutritious meals and stuff. I do tend to struggle more in the cooking side of things. It's really hard to find your groove again. So I think that, specifically for me, the having the smaller, sort of more manageable bite-sized approach is really good when you're trying to get back into things. Mm-hmm. It's also great for maintaining, but I'm kind of weird like that. I like, not torture, but what was the word you used where those intense workouts?
The misery?
The misery, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, but you're completely right. Doing something like that in your 20s, the ability to recover is so much higher than after you've had kids in your 30s and 40s. Our bodies are changing and it's just different. And also the results that we're able to get are different too.
100%. Yes.
And so
and what you can get away with.
Yeah. I loved all that stuff too. It felt really good. like back then. Now, if I try to do something like that, I'm like, this is
Because we
not.
don't have the luxury for recovery. I almost feel like sometimes,
Yeah.
to be sore for 3 days.
Yes. Yeah. And, like our joints are less resilient. I mean, I think about the stuff that I used to do in my 20s. Like, I mean, I'm telling you, I would run a half marathon and not even stretch before, you
Yes.
know? And like,
Yes.
I try and do that now, and I'm probably going to have some sort of tear in my muscle, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just your body changes, and you have to change your approach when you start to get older, not to mention that you're also taking care of small human beings and you don't have the time either
Exactly.
to spend doing the amount of intensity that maybe you were capable of doing. For me, I don't have time to go do 3-hour long runs on the weekends,
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
train for a big race. I
Right.
I may be able to make the time, but also I don't want to do that.
Right.
I'd rather sleep.
Yeah, I think because of this phase that we're now in, it's so much more important that we apply this intentionality, the stuff that you talk about, in order for us to keep up with fitness and be healthy. So, yeah, I think that we're on the same page on this. Many driven women set ambitious goals. I think the people we talk to, I don't think we could ever classify as lazy people, but we still struggle with this consistency. And I know you touched a little bit on this already, but do you have any systems or mindset shifts that can help bridge that gap in creating healthy habits?
Yeah, I do. And it's going to be dependent on the individual person too, like what their particular hang up is. But for a lot of people, what we say we want doesn't actually align with what we are prioritizing in our week. So, for example, we will say, oh my gosh, I just wish I had time to meal plan healthy nutrition meals. I just don't have time for it. And yet we will enroll our children in 3 or 4 sports and be gone every night of the week, running them all over the place and neglecting to prioritize the time to take care of ourselves and our family's nutrition. Of course, it's fine to do sports, but if you're not taking care of your body,
Mm-hmm.
then, what do you think your children are going to want in 30 years? To know that they did baseball, soccer, and basketball and swimming and all the things, but their mom ran her body to the ground and now can't keep up with her grandkids?
Mm-hmm.
Or do they want to know that mom spent some time prioritizing herself, modeling that
Mm-hmm.
for her kids to show them, hey, look, taking care of your body is actually really important.
Mm-hmm.
And then being able to be functional as she
Mm-hmm.
grows older. So that's kind of the mindset shift that I
Mm-hmm.
take, is making sure that what we say aligns with what our schedule goes to, right? And then I have kind of a system that I teach that's called core needs prioritization. And when I get a new client, when they join my program, I work with them and we talk about what are the things that are actually non-negotiables for you. Like, these are essential. And part of what's in that is your exercise and your meal planning. And we schedule those times in the week to work on those things. And the other things that are non-negotiable in their life, like, time with your husband, or for me, time with the Lord is a non-negotiable in the morning. And then those go in first, and then we can add in the other things that are negotiables, kids sports, or volunteer work, or whatever, that type of thing can go in afterwards. And so that's I guess, a system that I teach that helps us to get our mind wrapped around that. These are the things that I actually want to move the needle on in my life. And so I need to make the time for them first. Yeah. So that's kind of the approach I take.
Right, right. Yeah, I think my listeners are very familiar with the idea of life planning, and a lot of what you are talking about is essentially a version of that. And so I think that what we both basically talk about is how these habits can become more sustainable when they're kind of aligned with your values because they represent who you are. So it's like doing something that feels almost natural because this is what you're all about. It's part of who you are. And so, yeah, I like the idea of prioritization and sort of deprioritizing the things that maybe don't add as much value into your life. Finding a way to make them happen if you want them to happen. But yeah.
And the honesty, like being honest
Yeah.
with yourself.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I am saying that I feel like nutrition and exercise is important, but the things that I prioritize don't show that. And can I be honest with myself about that?
Mhm. Yeah. And one component that really helps with that honesty piece is understanding your purpose, which goes right along with, identifying your priorities and your values. Because when you're trying to say, would I really actually do this or stick with this? When you understand why you would want to do it, that can help you understand whether it's actually something you would do. It's
Yes.
something you really care about. It kind of really makes you face the actuality of if it is something that you're driven to do or not, that you're excited to do or not.
Yeah, yeah. And and it can change depending on the season that you're in too. Like there's some seasons where, for example, I'm thinking specifically of the newborn phase. Well, some things are going to be a little bit deprioritized during that time, because your capacity is so small. So yeah, I think that you're exactly right. Like it's about being aligned with what your purpose is and being understanding why you're wanting to do it.
Mhm. Yeah. So, how can moms strategically use short strength training sessions to build resilience, like mentally and physically? Because I think one of the reasons that we moms feel so overwhelmed is that we're so busy and it feels like we're busy all of the time. So, if you can answer this question, I think this alone is going to be gold.
Yeah, yeah. So one of the really cool things that I've discovered about strength training in particular, and I think this goes with a lot of any sort of skill that you might develop or grow through practice and training, is that it tends to overflow into other areas of your life. So the thing with strength training, if you're doing it properly, is there's this concept that you have to apply in order to see growth. And it's called progressive overload. I don't know if you're familiar with that term, but essentially what it means is you are constantly telling your body, I need more challenge. This was hard, so I'm going to challenge you a little bit more, and we need to adapt. So essentially, all exercises is communicating what sort of adaptation you want your body to develop. Strength training signals to your body, we need bigger muscles and we need stronger muscles to move this load next time because it was hard. Okay. So that is what we're communicating to our body. And the way I teach my moms, which obviously I teach them fundamentals of safety, of course, first, and we learn the movement patterns, like how to actually do the movements, because I teach heavy compound lifts. So like deadlifts, squats, hip thrusts, bench press, those big lifts that you see people in the weight section of the gym doing. And I teach the fundamentals of how to do those safely, obviously. But then when you apply progressive overload, what it does is every time you walk in there and you complete your sets, like let's say you're doing squats and you are supposed to do 3 sets of 10, for example, and you do 3 sets of 10 and it was hard. It was really hard. So the signal that your body's receiving is, wow, that was really hard. We need to get a little stronger. We need to grow muscles to make that a little bit easier next time. So your body adapts to its environment. Your body doesn't know, and it also doesn't care whether you're lifting a barbell or whether you're lifting a log to build a hut, right? Mm-hmm. It's all the same. And so you are telling your body this is really hard. Well, mentally, what you're also proving to your body or your brain is that I can do really hard things. That was hard, but look, I did it. And you prove that in a very tangible way, week after week after week.
It's measurable because you can see the weight even.
Yes, you see the weight, you see the reps, you see the difficulty go down. And it's a very, very tangible proving to your brain, I can do hard things. And that's why the number one thing I think that the women who go through my program say is they say, I'm so much more confident. And that's because you're stepping into a place where you're not sure if you can do it all. One, it's filled with grunting, burly men who are lifting 3,000 pounds, and you're walking in there and maybe you're squatting the bar 45 pounds, right? But so there's that aspect of, that challenge. And then there's also the repeated proving in a very tangible way that you can do hard things. And so I think that's probably like the biggest way that you can build resilience and that mental fortitude through strength training. And it doesn't have to be a lot. Like my clients, I know people, they think of strength training and they think, oh, well, you're going to turn into some bodybuilder thing. That's probably the first thing women think. Oh my gosh, I'm going to get bulky and huge. Now, if it was that easy, you would see so many more bulky, huge people. So you're not going to get bulky. But the second thing is like, this is going to take forever. And realistically, the way that I teach moms, which uses the heavy compound lifts, they're utilizing every single muscle in their body. And so it's extremely efficient because I have 5 kids and I had to figure out how to do this where I was in and out, rolling out, warm up, stretching, the whole shebang in an hour or less, because that's the time I had. Yeah. And Most of my clients do either 2 days a week or 3 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it, that's pretty efficient. You
Mm-hmm.
could go do a workout video for 30 minutes at your home, right?
Mm-hmm.
But my program, the way I teach it, you're going to get so much more results because the stimulus given to your body is going to be exponentially greater
Mm-hmm.
using heavy strength training.
Right, right. And I think the other thing about your program is that you also have the whole nutrition side of things. So it, complements it, right? It's just so much more useful information, not just this is the workout, here's what to do. It's all about the
Yeah.
planning, the actual building the strength and the food side of things.
Yes. Yeah. That was one of the things that I was really excited about when I started creating my program, even before when I was just sort of dreaming about doing this, because I worked in a bariatric clinic for a long time and I only dealt with the nutrition side of things. It was not holistic.
Yeah.
And I really try and take a holistic approach because that's what we need. We
Hmm.
need not only the understanding of what to do in the gym and how to do it, but how do we pair that with the right fuel for
Hmm.
our bodies? And then how do we do all this as a mom and
Hmm.
prioritize it and become really efficient so that we are able to keep up with all of it, right? So yeah, you're totally right.
This has been so great. Let's see. What advice do you have then, since you are specific to helping moms in particular with their, fitness goals? What advice do you have for moms who are so overwhelmed? They're just doing all these things for their families and for everyone else, but they still feel like their health is slipping through the cracks.
Yeah. Well, everybody's going to be different. The way you approach everybody's problem is going to be individual. But I think that a good practice is to just, and this is something that I've mentioned before, I think on my podcast, but just writing down all the things that you feel like you need to change. Okay, I need to get to the gym. I need to meal plan. I need to figure out my nutrition. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, you can't even meal plan if you don't know how to get your nutrition on your plate, right? Which is
Hmm.
something that
Yeah.
I teach in my program because you have to do that piece first. You have to know the nutrition profile of the foods. What is your strategy for the nutrition? And then how do we find recipes
Hmm.
and things like that that are going to support those goals, right? You have to do that piece first. So maybe like doing kind of a brain dump and writing down like what are all these things? We eat out all the time or I struggle with emotional eating or I just eat too much like I can't stop. I'm part of the clean plate club, which hi, I was a member. Um
Hmm.
so writing down kind of all those things and then just sitting there and figuring out which one of these things would be the biggest bang for my buck. Like,
Hmm.
what's the highest impact item? Is it my nutrition? Like, do I skip meals all day long and then binge all evening because I'm so starving? Okay, wake up in the morning and have a protein shake. Get it ready to drink one. Put it in the fridge, grab it, throw it in your coffee, pop it back. Maybe that's what it is for you. Or maybe it could be, hey, we need to have a planned sweet snack because you lose it over sweets every night. And if you have something there, then you have that option. It's already the decision's made, right? So it's
Hmm.
going to be individual, but I think it's a good practice to figure out what is going to be the biggest bang for your buck thing to focus on, and then just focus on that
Yeah.
first.
Yeah. I'm noticing the theme in a lot of your responses. You really find a way to distill it down to how to simplify, like take your problem and find sort of the simplest first step to take. Yeah, I like doing that as well, obviously for general personal growth, but it's so useful to have the specifics when it comes to health related stuff. So I have one more question to ask. I like to ask this for any of the guests on the show. So I teach moms how to create impact by showing up authentically in their lives, at home and at work. So for you, what does it mean to be living a meaningful life, one where you are creating impact or making a difference?
I want my life to impact people in a way where they can see Jesus in me, but
Mhm.
also to impact them physically because God gave us physical bodies.
Mhm.
And I think that I can help and I can create good in this world by helping women to learn how to care for their physical bodies in a way that honors the Lord.
Mm, That's great. That's awesome. And I think you are doing that. We talk sometimes offline. Yeah, you're the real deal. So guys, Rachel, she definitely walks the walk.
Ah, thank you.
It's so special whenever a purpose-driven mom like you can share, what you have to offer. So it's been wonderful having you on the show. Where can my listeners find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on my podcast. It's called Effective Weight Loss for Moms. And you can also find me on Facebook. I have a Facebook community. It's called Strength Training for Moms. You can join that to get kind of practical, real life, mom advice on fitting this fitness thing into your life. And I love it because it's pretty real. We get moms on there that, post stuff like, I don't know what to do. And I feel terrible today. Can I have some encouragement? I feel gross. Like I haven't been taking care of my body. And, we encourage each other. And anyway, it's a pretty supportive community that I really like. And then I do have an Instagram that I just started. My Instagram is Effective Fitness for Women. You can find me on there. I'm not super active, but that's my Instagram handle.
Okay, ladies, there you have it. Rachel DeSonier of the Effective Weight Loss for Moms podcast. I'll link all of her details in the show notes. Thank you so much for making the time to be here. I think you gave a lot of value to our listeners.
Glad to be here. Thank you, Anoki.
I hope today's episode will help you create time and freedom to pursue something you love to do. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe and tell other purpose-driven mamas about it. Who knows? You might even make a new friend by sharing a tip. It's all free. By the way, it would be amazing to hear what you think about the show when you leave a review on Apple Podcasts. After all, my passion is to make this a great experience for you. I'll see you next week for another episode of Achieve Your Ambitious Mom Life with Anoki Kapasi.